So
Yeah.
did the early Catholic Church, I guess Constantine at this time, make a mistake by adding the synoptic gospels to the canon, being that the synoptic gospels are so much different from the Gospel of John? So were the descendants of the Flavians really just combining the two Christs of the religion?
Yeah. Well, the thing to remember is, as far as they were concerned, there were many Christs. In other words, I mean, there were many divine individuals who could keep the title, would have the title of God. So it's just not that unusual. I mean, the Flavians, even in the generation that produced the Synoptic Gospels, I think they had like four or five gods in the family. I mean,
Mhm.
Titus's sister was a god. He was a god. Vespasian was a god, and of course Domitian. He insisted on be called by being called Lord God.
Mhm.
So the Gospels, the fact that they have different are linking to typologically linking to different individuals, this could be completely understandable and to be expected in the light of what it must have been like inside the imperial court. Inside the imperial court, you had so many deities wandering around
Mhm.
that the literature is just a reflection of this, and
Mhm.
um, so there was no mistake made. What they did was they just added on to stuff. They had the synoptics. I'm sure this was the original version of the story of Jesus, probably what would have been told to the original Christians when they were trying to convert some people to the new religion.
Mhm.
So um, you have the synoptics, and then Titus is dead. Here's Domitian. He starts adding on to it, and I don't have any idea about when the literature actually was given to the public. Um, Clement of Alexandria talks about, I think he's writing about 130, and he talks about the four canonical gospels,
Mhm.
and he talks about other gospels too, but the canonicals are very central to
Mhm.
his understanding of Christian literature. He mentions them like 100 times, and maybe other gospels two or three
Mhm.
times. So
Mhm.
there was something special about these, the canonical gospels, even in 130. And he's aware of Paul, so obviously the literature, I think, has been more or less completed by that point. Even though I think there could have been more additions to it later on, but so there really aren't any mistakes. It's just there's layers of vanity
Mhm.
that the different Caesars were, demonstrating, and so since they had no respect, of course, for the theological position of the literature, right? I mean, someone like Trajan, he could care less about the story of Jesus Christ. It means
Mhm.
nothing to him. Um, he's just seeing that the literature has been put into the public. It seems to be working to some extent. There seems to be the congregations are starting to be developed, and so it has a social control importance to him. But as far as the storyline, any kind of either sacredness or even coherency, that means nothing to him. If he's going to do something with the literature, it's to add on like the letters of Timothy and put some typology in there linking to himself, just so that he can have a signature of his own you know vanity inside in the literature that is eventually going to become the New Testament.
Mhm. Okay.